We mark out. This, as Jeff was explaining earlier, is going to sit a bit lower. That way, here we're just dry fitting right now. Our AquaBlox sits here on our original excavation, and then the rest is on the toe of our vault. Like I said.
From any rocks that come up in the freeze thaw. So if they start rubbing or if an old piece of iron came up. Step right there, you're going to cave that corner.
So when we're digging this, we're generally not too worried about rocks that are down in the soil. But every once in a while you come up with a couple of these that stick out at awkward angles. So we try and get those up and out of the way so that there's not weight compressing the liner into these stones, potentially causing holes that we'd have to come back and deal with later on. We want to keep our liner as safe as possible. So the next step is to, now that we've got it excavated for our AquaBlox at that level, this, as Jeff was explaining earlier, is going to sit a bit lower. That way our pump is at the lowest point of our basin, and it can get the best circulation of water through the vault, as well as keeping our pump submerged as long as possible, so that if something were to happen, a leak were to start, the pump has the longest amount of time for somebody to notice before it starts sucking air. So what we do is we set our vault in where we want it. We're going to take our trusty spray paint and we come down in and we mark out where the vault itself is going to sit. And this level that I'm standing on is the appropriate level for an AquaBlox. We're going to dig this down another 7 inches so that the toe of the boot, the toe right here, can sit under these AquaBlox. The top of this will be at the same level as where I'm standing right now. So we've got the area excavated for the vault to sit down below, and as you can see, we've got an AquaBlox sitting here. We're just dry fitting it right now. But our AquaBlox sits here on our original excavation, and then rests on the toe of our vault. Like I said, pump way down at the bottom, so it's as low as possible.
Well, I think that like that. All right, you see the guys got the basin all dug out beautifully, looks perfect. Now it's time to put in an underlayment. This is a geotextile fabric, and it's a little bit thicker. It's going to help protect the liner from any rocks that come up in the freeze thaw. So if they start rubbing, or if an old piece of iron came up, if something was buried there, it helps protect the liner from abrasion. And when it comes to pond building, 51% of a successful build is it cannot leak. Everything else you can fix, you can adjust, you can change, you can move, you can put something different in, but if it leaks, you're done, you're replacing it, or you're spending months or weeks or days looking for a leak, depending on what the leak is. So we always are very, very, very mindful of the liner that's going to be coming in after this. I want to be super careful of it. So first we're going to put this in the hole, and then we will put the liner in, and then we'll rebuild the system. We'll cut little squares of this to protect the corners of the AquaBlox. Some people prefer to put another layer of this inside the liner just to make that extra precaution. It's just a little bit of extra money. We don't feel it's necessary. We've never had an issue with it, but some people will put a second layer in just to make sure. So we'll sandwich that liner with underlayment on both sides of it. Definitely not a bad idea. Is it necessary? Maybe, not usually. So we'll get this spread out. Okay, I'm gonna hold this side because we wanna make sure this doesn't move. Chris is gonna jump in and he's gonna follow that down, follow it across, down into the foot or the toe of the vault, and then across a little more. We're gonna watch each side to make sure we're not low on one side and high on the other. This is, actually we could move it this way, 1 or 3 inches. So that we make sure it's protected all the way around. And then after we get the liner in, we want to keep rocks from going between the liner and the underlayment, because if it gets in there, it's defeating the purpose of the underlayment. So keep that rock or any abrasions out of the between the underlayment and the liner as possible. And then follow it down, follow it across, follow it up. Sometimes when you're doing this, there will be a line on the underlayment or the liner, and you can keep that line straight and then fold out from there. There's always going to be folds. We'll get to that in a little bit, but try to keep those folds to a minimum or nice and neat so that they're laid out flat and very soft so that they don't have a sharp rip spot on them. One thing to consider when you're building, I don't know if Chris covered this yet, is this is a pretty dense sand. It's got a little bit of organic, a little bit of clay and gravel in it. The last time we had a sandbox, it was pure washed sand, kind of like up in Anoka and Champlain, where it's just pure beach sand. And if you cut a shelf like that and you step within 9 inches of that shelf, it's going to cave in very easily. So if you step right there, you're going to cave that corner, and so make sure you're stepping back from that edge so you don't cave that in when you're coming around. Drive through this. And then we're still good. Got plenty of room for the liner. All right, perfect.
And then we hold that with your feet. You come in and tuck these 2 corners here, and allow the other side to be there.
Get up. It's going to be super painful. You'll have to wear gloves, and it's miserable to work with. Grass is growing back from the roots. Looks terrible. It's not going to kill the roots as long as you don't leave it for days.
Explain for.
Okay. So what Jeff was talking about,
Hi, thanks for watching this video from Minnesota Waterscapes. Make sure you like and subscribe that video and give us a ring, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time.